Hello and welcome. We're right here at IGF UAE 2024 and joining me for a conversation is Vivek Oberoi. Vivek, how should I introduce you? As the founder of the family office, as an actor, what do you prefer these days?
Well, nowadays they call me the actorpreneur.
That's an interesting term. So still, then which is the, what are you more passionate about, acting or investing?
Okay, I think at my age and stage in life, I look at life a little more holistically. So cinema, art still continues to be the absolute passion. Where business is more a pursuit of perfection, not passion. Right? I won't be just excited by something, there has to be math to it, right? Cinema to me is chemistry, business is more math, right? And then all of this has to roll up into the larger story in life, which is purpose. So if you can find purpose within the business that you do, purpose within the cinema that you're doing, then that's like the cherry on top.
You talked about the maths of things when it comes to the business. So talk to me about your investment style. Do you go more by the gut feel of it? Are you a very hands-on person with respect to data? Or you just depend on your team and take their word for it?
No, look, a team is very important. It has its own place, but there's a couple of things. There's instinct, there's experience. I've built a number of companies. I've taken a few public. I'm taking a few public next year. So there's been that hands-on experience as a co-founder in different sectors, right? So whether it's fintech or agri-tech or ed-tech, I've built companies. And nowadays ed-tech is a bad word, but I've built one of the most profitable ed-tech companies that there is, which goes public next year again.
Yeah.
Or lab-grown diamond jewelry, where I'm currently also the rent-free showroom. Which we're now in 7 countries, 23 cities, and going public next year again. So there's an ecosystem that I've built, and I've been an integral part of every aspect of it, which has been a learning experience, a learning curve. So the family office functions less in a spray and pray style, which is like just, put money across the bucket
Something
just because we have to deploy. And I work more with, for me, it's like a race, a horse race, where the business is the horse, so you need to know the horse is healthy, has the capability, the genes, the DNA to win, the potential at least, and the jockey is the founder. So it's very important. Even if I conceive of an idea or a business plan or a project or even fund it, I like to take a co-founder position because I believe that the founder has to have a single-minded focus to build it out on an administrative level, something I don't do. It doesn't match in with my roti formula. I've stopped looking at return on equity and return on investment as an isolation. In isolation, I look at it from a roti perspective. So return on time invested is more important to me now because there's quality of life that one has to aspire to. There's other purpose-driven ventures. So in the middle of all the real estate launches that I have here, I have a substantial real estate company in the UAE with about 400 people working with us. So there's the team, that's very important. I just realized in my team today, we have 80 nationalities among 400 people, some 60 plus languages spoken. But I left all of that to fly to San Francisco to do a fundraiser for Ekal Vidyalaya, because through that one evening of commitment and capital raising and involvement of technology, AI, people, we're able to reach 225,000 tribal Indians in the remotest areas of Bharat and uplift their lives with a holistic view, right? From education, computer training, women empowerment, telemedicine, healthcare, organic farming. You're able to take to market, so bring in fair trade. So I like that kind of a holistic approach to anything. I've been with Ekal now 10 years, since 2014 to 24. And no matter how busy I am and how important personal gain may be to me and my commitments to my companies are, that ranks above all of it. Even though it's a non-profit and there's only about giving. I believe that giving is an opportunity that you don't get easily. Making money, you get many opportunities, but giving is an opportunity to be blessed for.
I think that's a very powerful statement, that giving is something that you don't get easily, and that's what perhaps a lot of us should work for, that purpose is the most important thing. But talk to me about, you have made investments in various sectors and various forms, whether it's an early stage investment or a late stage, and you talked about how the companies are likely to go public. In the sense, which are the sectors that still look very interesting to you? Because real estate is something that you talked about, you invested in a big way. Is that something which is a comfort area of yours?
Real estate is more scalable. The actual brick and mortar scale that you can achieve in real estate, like BMW now, over the last 4 years, has developed a scale of to the tune of about $4.2 billion US in terms of gross development value, and we're a zero debt company. So real estate is scalable. So when I started NISIS with Amit Goenka, the DIFC fund here, we scaled to $1 billion because it's real estate backed, right? Immediately. With BMW, we scaled this high because it's real estate backed. So there's a certain confidence in brick and mortar, touch and feel, physical asset ownership. So real estate provides that cornerstone. But the alpha or the massive delta that you're looking at is in creating value from scratch. So Solitario, Ricky and I, with Satish's, experience and support, mentoring us, were able to build this company out to 7 countries and 23 cities in 2 years. An Indian brand, because it always bothered me that, you'd see fine Italian jewelry being sold in Europe or being re-exported into India, imported into India, exported by them, even though it's manufactured out of Surat.
Somewhere in Gujarat.
I was like, why? Why can't it be like fine Indian jewelry? Yeah? Because people don't realize that even traditional diamonds for 2,000 years were not available anywhere else but India. We were the only country in the world till 1800s where diamonds were mined and people knew how to cut and polish diamonds.
Oh, wow.
Right? So there's a lot of things that are a disconnect in terms of claiming our heritage back. And I think lab-grown diamonds are doing it in a more sustainable, transparent, ethical way. And again, like I said, purpose. If you can drive purpose, it's exceptional. So we built the company out, and it's doing really, really well by God's grace, and goes public hopefully second quarter of next year.
Watching out for that one. I'll get more details on that. But, along the curve, of course, there have been hits and misses as well, as is the case in every business. Tell me some of the key learnings through your business experience, and what would you want to tell a fresh entrepreneur right now?
Well, from an investor's perspective, what I look for is intent.
Okay.
Intent has to be sacred, right? It has to be above all. Because every business is an attempt, right? If the attempt fails, I'm okay to forgive it. It's an attempt, it's a risk. There's a reason why it's called equity, right? It's not debt. But if the intent is wrong, that's unforgivable. So I believe that somebody can fail even though they had the right intent. They could have failed for multiple other reasons. That quality in an entrepreneur is very, very important. Intent signals integrity. And if somebody has integrity, then it's a matter of capability, capacity, which you can enhance, you can help build, you can structure a team around a good founder. As long as the integrity is intact, there is no replacement for that. So the intent signals integrity, and that's where I begin.
Okay, so integrity is very important, but talk to me about the exit strategy as well, because you talked about a few companies coming out with the IPO, and with the IPO market being so ripe as it has been, there is that urge to make that quick money, or maybe, just kind of scale it up quickly and perhaps IPO it soon. What's your exit strategy, or what are the factors that investors and founders should look at before they hit the capital market in that sense?
So any company that I've helped build, where I've come in not just as money, but beyond that, I haven't exited in a single one of them.
You haven't at all?
Not a single one of them.
Wow.
Because I think about a 10 to 15 year horizon on a company that I'm building, because that's the degree of commitment, intent, integrity, purpose. That's what drives me. I've taken companies which have started with zero and are probably valued at a few thousand crores now, right? But the whole idea is that for me to bring an investor in who's come in with a finite mindset, maybe a fund, it's a 6-year fund, 7-year fund, they have a timeline, they want to put money in and take money out and make distributions, cash in that carry. For them, an IPO is a great route to give them that flexibility and freedom and capture that valuation. So I don't look at an IPO as a way to make money. Whenever I talk to any of my founders or any of my investee companies, I ask them, one of the first questions I ask them is, do you want to make money or do you want to create wealth?
Smart decision,
right?
yeah. So
when you create wealth, you can share it. And when you go public, you can share it with millions of people. People participate in that journey and that growth. You live up to their commitments that you've made to the investors every quarter. And there are companies where people have not exited all their lives, right? There's a reason why people will not exit a Tata company, for example. They'll just keep holding on to that shit and says, this is a blue chip. Because you earn that trust. It takes time and commitment, but when you signal that, when you earn that trust, then you're making people participate in that wealth creation.
yeah, and I guess it resonates with the point of integrity and purpose, because that is how you build a brand and that is how you build
Absolutely.
a trust.
I tell
as well.
people always, I said, profit is for a quarter, purpose is for life.
You're coming up with great one-liners right now. I think that makes for great headlines for me. But let me talk about
Maybe I have a film career somewhere.
But let me talk about a bit more in the sense as to how you started your journey. Is investment, financial markets and businesses something which always attracted you, or it started later on in your life?
I was 9 when my dad, on a summer holiday, said, well, I know you have 2.5 months of chutti, but the first 4 weeks, he brought me product. I still remember it was perfumes back then, the first time. And he said, open a notebook, this is your stock, write the details, this is what you owe me, whatever you sell it for above this is yours. And then he taught me in terms of logistics, how much is it going to cost, what is the value of the time that I'm putting in. So he taught me on those basic units of economics. I was on my bike with my school bag with, the inventory in there, knocking door to door across the neighborhoods of Juhu, selling it and making money. And then I went from there to the next year doing electronics, the next year doing, I think it was garments. So I would keep doing these kind of things through my early years, my formative years. That taught me the basic values of units of economics. Yeah. And how to do business, how to face customer feedback, So by the time I was 16, 17, I had a portfolio on the stock market, of course in my father's name because I wasn't an adult. By the time I was 18, I was learning about futures, I was learning about commodities. By the time I was 19, I set up my first company, raised formal capital, created an exit when I was 22. People didn't call them startups then, didn't call them exits then. I'm dating myself, very old. But built that out. And then films happened. It was the passion that, came in. And then I realized, how can I leverage this celebrity? Whether it's a B2C, B2B, B2G, how can I leverage that to create a purpose-driven company or enhance or amplify an existing structure that can be created into a larger platform consolidation? So that's always been the effort, to either create value, add value, or amplify the value.
Totally. It sounds like out of a movie, really, the way you're talking about how you were 6, 7 or 9 years old and selling that perfume bottles in that backpack of yours. But talk to me about what you're most excited about right now. It can be a business, it can be an art project, it can be anything. What is exciting Vivek Oberoi right now?
I think what excites me beyond everything else, what keeps me up at night, what, gives me the energy to wake up in the morning and say, what if? I think that excitement is impact driven. Nothing excites me more than potential impact, right? So I read one article in 2002 about how smoking BDs and company influenced little kids to take up smoking, and my name was up there along with Shah Rukh Khan's name, that these are the two actors this year that have had the maximum influence on youth. Smoking. That impacted me. That led me to say, I want to fix this because I don't smoke in real life. I joined hands with Cancer Patients Aid Association, Tata Memorial Hospital, started driving a campaign, which led me further to say, okay, how do we help kids who can't afford cancer treatment and are laborers' children or farmers' children? That one step today, over 20 years, has grown into being World Health Organization's anti-tobacco ambassador, being somebody who's part of the team or the vision to help more than 250,000 children from rural India get subsidized or free cancer treatments and win the battle against cancer. So it's impact on yourself, and then what you decide to amplify and give back to the universe. How to leverage the celebrity, the smarts, whatever you've been blessed with, and say, hey, if I was doing this like a business, how would I make this, bigger? How would I make each dollar stretch to do more? How would I keep self-sustaining this project and make it bigger? So that's what drives me. That's what excites me the most.
Okay, and we'll wait by and watch more of that impact really turning as well. But thanks so much for making time and speaking with us
Always
today.
a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. With that, it's a wrap on this conversation. Stay tuned for more.